Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Able Auctions is our title sponsor. It is Friday, and all of our guests on Friday, including Ian Furness down in Seattle, standing by, are brought to you by Langley Chrysler. The season is filled with holiday magic, and at Langley Chrysler, they're celebrating by giving you up to $10,500 off Ram and up to 15% off Jeep. As well, they're giving you an extra holiday cash gift, and they will donate a second cash gift to a family in need. To learn more, visit us online at langleychrysler.com as we bring in from KJR Sports Radio in Seattle, Fox 13 Sports, Seahawks at Houston on Sunday, our friend Ian Furness. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, happy Friday to you. It's been an eventful week down there, or up there, I guess, in Vancouver.
Oh, very, very eventful. Was it eventful for the Kraken at all?
No, I mean, business as usual, 2 more losses.
Yeah, well, the Pittsburgh loss was tough to take.
Yeah, well, 3 goals on 4 shots to start the game and then not scoring last night. It's been a tough week for the NHL franchise down here.
I saw you tweet out or retweet an article. Are the Kraken doing a good enough job early on of marketing their players?
Not even close. I don't think. It's an interesting dynamic. Jeff Baker wrote the story from the Seattle Times, and Jeff's originally from Montreal. So, I mean, he's been around the game for a long time and he covered the baseball team down here as well. They have empty seats, guys, and I think they have an issue with they're not promoting their players. Ron Francis is very old school. He treats basically every practice game and post game like it's, Stanley Cup Finals and, very secretive, cloak and dagger. They're not doing a good job of making guys available. If you lose a game, there's no radio or TV access immediately after for the partners. So, yeah, I think, we haven't had guys on the air. They haven't done a good job of getting guys out in front of the camera or in front of a microphone or, hey, get to know these guys. Let's really, it's hey, Brendan Tanev's got a funny look on his face and long hair from his headshot. And that's really kind of the extent of their marketing so far and promotion of their players. And I think you should feel some sort of connection with the individual players as well as the jersey, the crest, and all that. Now, I guess some would say that's the way the NHL is. I think the NHL is moving forward a little bit in terms of, promoting their guys. The ESPN down here did a long feature this morning on last night and all throughout the morning on, they replay all the SportsCenter shows on the matchup between Crosby and Ovechkin. So we're starting to see stuff like that, especially with the new TV deals. The Kraken are still kind of stuck in the dark ages, I think.
Yeah. It almost sounded like you were talking about the Canucks there for a second. That sort of thing has been going on for a long time here.
But Donnie, your fan base knows who the third defensive pair is. They know every guy in the roster. They can go recite half the guys in the farm system playing in Abbotsford. That's not the case here.
Yeah, it's a different ball of wax. This is Canada. Seattle is a new. I don't have to tell you. Seattle is a new market. You have to take a different approach, and I can't believe they don't understand that, especially with the Lime Wikis in charge. All right, Seahawks safety Jamal Adams out for the rest of the season with a shoulder issue. How much will he be missed, and how is that expensive deal to acquire him looking right now?
Pete Carroll said it's still a terrific deal, Donnie. He said that the other day. He really to chuckles and laughter in the media room when he said that. Oh, it's a terrific deal. And then he said it went on NFL radio on the Sirius network and said the same thing. Terrific deal for us. And I don't understand how he can say. Listen, the one thing about Pete Carroll, he protects his guys more than any coach in any sport I've ever seen. I think if you play for him, you have to respect that and appreciate that as well. I mean, even as poorly at times as Russell has played this year and other guys have played the offensive line, he just doesn't throw guys under the bus. But make no mistake, the trade is one of the worst trades in the history of Seattle sports. I don't think there's any question about that. 2 effectively 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams. There were some other things tossed in there on both sides, but 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams. Yes, he set a sack record last season. He didn't have 1 sack this year. He still rushed. He blitzed at least, I think it was 47 to 50 times, depending on which metrics you want to look at. Never got home, had 7 pressures, and now he's out for the season again. Ryan Neal will step in and immediately be better in pass coverage than Jamal Adams was. He won't be as good in the run stop. Jamal's a little more physical when he wants to be at the line of scrimmage. But I think if you look back this year, Just watch the James Conner touchdown against Arizona, and there were other examples. There were also plays that Adams turned down. You have to wonder if that was because of the shoulder.
Ian, back-to-back losses for the Kraken, but before that, they were on a roll, one of the hottest teams. And then Grubauer got lit up there by the Penguins. He got pulled early. Just take us through the big winning streak, and then take us through the last two back-to-back losses.
Well, I mentioned this yesterday to my friend Dennis Bayak from the Winnipeg Jets and Kevin Sawyer. They were down there, and two old friends. I got a chance to catch up with them, which was just awesome. I hadn't been inside the building yet either until yesterday. It's a phenomenal building, I will say that. But as far as the team is concerned, I think they've got, as every team, an expansion team not named Vegas should, they've got some holes. When Grubauer, I mentioned this to those guys, I said, when Grubauer's been good, they've had a chance to win. When he hasn't been, they have no chance to win. And, Dennis said, well, Furness, that's exactly how it is in the NHL. I said, I get that, but I think there's some teams, if your goalie is just okay on a night, you can still win. That's not the case with Seattle. If Grubauer isn't on the top of his game, you have no chance. Now, last night he played well. Last night he played really well. They just couldn't score. That's a pretty good team. And I think that was a Winnipeg team after what happened with Carolina. I think they came in a little bit angry, and I think you can maybe say they kind of wanted it more a little bit too. And frankly, Seattle's not as talented. That's a big, strong, heavy team in Winnipeg, and Seattle can't match up with that type of play. They just can't. Guys that are strong on the puck and just kind of bully their way around the ice like Winnipeg can. I think, but all three centers are like over 200 pounds. I mean, Seattle can't play with them. But they played well enough last night to keep it close. Grubauer kept them in it. But I think I heard, I don't know if it was on your show, might have been on your former partner's show in the afternoon, but I know the number's been floated around. I think you guys did it this week. That Vancouver needed to go 40-20 in their last 60 to probably have a chance to get in.
Big time,
right?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Seattle's exactly the same way. They're not a playoff team, and I think it's that harsh reality is starting to set in that they're not going to be a playoff team in their first year because let's be honest, they're not going 40-20 or whatever that number would have to be down the stretch. You dig that big hole early on in the NHL, as you guys well know, it's hard to dig out of it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens second half of the season with these guys.
Yeah, the Jets over the Kraken 3-0 yesterday. Jets in Vancouver today. You said before I let you go, Ian, about Kraken and empty seats. What are Seahawks ticket? I know there's COVID considerations, but what are Seahawks ticket sales like these days?
Well, every game, much like the Kraken, are sold out, right? Their tickets are sold and so forth. It's the secondary market where you end up seeing, guys wanting to sell their tickets on the secondary market and, are they getting what they want out of it? And then those tickets go unsold, and that's where you see some empty seats. Now, I will point out that going around the rest of the NFL, Seattle has fewer empty seats than any team, we've been to, I don't know how many, 6 or 7 this year already. Far fewer empty seats than almost any team any place we've been to, not named Green Bay. Green Bay is the only place I can think of that was, really, truly at 100% capacity for a game. Everyone else has some empty seats, but they have a few. Seattle has a few more than they have in the past. There's no doubt about that here. Great crowd last week. The 49er fans jammed in here. It was a cool atmosphere because there was enough of them to make noise back and forth. The Kraken, I haven't been. In fact, I checked on it this morning with a couple of guys that covered the game last night, and they both said the same thing. They said, yeah, more and more we're seeing some empty seats here. The cost is so prohibitive. We've talked about that before. It is so prohibitive. You better give them a reason to go, not just, hey, we're new. And then on top of that, parking here is a disaster. There's no mass transit around the building. All these things we knew going in. That's not a huge surprise. But I think when you add all of that up, guys, that's why you have the issue. And, as far as the Kraken are concerned, they've got to figure this thing out, man, because it's gonna be tough finding those seats on the secondary market. You're seeing people trying to sell those; they're not getting sold. So, yeah, what can you do to promote your product? Get to know the players. Real quick, for an example, the NFL team. I get phone calls every week from the PR guys, and granted, we've been around for a long time doing this, but they call every week. Hey, do you want so and so on the show? Do you want so and so on the show? They are pushing their players to get on the air, to get to, fans get to know these guys. They do it on TV as well. Hockey team doesn't do that at all.
I find that surprising, given it's a new team in a new hockey market. Ian, thanks for this. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Have a good weekend, Rick. Attaboy.
Take care. You're the best Seattle's got. You know it, Ian. You know it.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Ian.